absence of Mike Jones. This is Monday, March 11th, 4 p.m. at the Carson City Community Center, Robert Bob Crowell Boardroom. Could we call the meeting to order? Do I hit the gavel? Heck yeah. Sorry. Could we get a roll call, please?
Yes, Bobby Rader.
Here.
Stacy Giomi. Here. Excuse me. Kitty McKay and Diamond Bat.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. Could we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll now move on to item 4 on the agenda. Is there any public comment? Just to let everyone know, I don't believe there's any public comment. We will be tabling item 10 on the agenda. We'll move on to item 5 for possible action, approval of the minutes. Do any of the board members have any changes to the minutes? Did I get a motion?
I move to approve the meeting minutes of the Convention Tourism Board for February 12, 2024 as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Don't forget to do opposed.
Any opposed? Thank you. Moving on to item 6 for possible action, discussion and possible action regarding approval of the CTA Statement of Accounts, payable checks and P-card charges for January 2024. This is on the consent agenda. Are there any requests to pull items from the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda consisting of items 6A and 7A as presented.
Can I get a second? Thank you. All those in favor, say
Aye.
aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you. Moving on to item 8 on the agenda. Oops, 9. For possible action, discussion and possible action regarding a proposed commercial lease agreement with Carson City Square, Inc. for the lease of 716 North Carson Street, Suite A, consisting of 3,046 square feet, beginning on July 1st, 2024, and terminating on June 30th, 2029, for a total amount of $267,195.12. Dave Peterson?
Thank you, Vice Chair Rader. For the record, David Peterson, Executive Director with Visit Carson City. So this lease is actually to move us from downstairs at the building to the upstairs back of the building on the west side, which is currently space that is occupied by the Nevada Arts Council, who is going to be vacating that particular space. So we think this is a wonderful opportunity for us. We've got some significant cost savings involved with the move, and I look forward to the opportunity to have a beautiful gallery space, leveraging that wall that exists upstairs as well. So cost savings, and I think it gives us a really unique exhibition and gallery space. And I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have on the lease.
Will you be able to leave sign in the front so that it's still accessible and easily found?
Yeah, and Chris can jump in here too. We're working with the building owners on that very thing, signage in the front, having some signage moving our kiosk with the brochures closer to the double doors on the west side of the building as well. And we'll have what I think is a really unique opportunity in the lobby area on the second floor to put in some interpretive signage, opportunities again for materials, for folks just grab them off the rack if they don't wish to come in, but also looking at, what is it that we're looking at, interactive kiosk. as well that we're looking at putting in outside of the double doors to that particular office space. But yeah, the idea is to make sure that folks know that you've got to come now to the back of the building, and then it's an elevator or a set of stairs. And we're also working with the owners to actually have 2 spaces right in front of those double doors labeled for visitor center parking only as well, just to make it more convenient for visitors. So, yeah, please.
The kiosk you're talking about in the second floor lobby area, right? Not the downstairs double doors, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Second floor. Yeah. So it's kind of all glass there.
Yeah.
Kind of an L. Yeah.
And on item number 17, remodeling, it said it's our obligation to conduct any remodeling. Is there any remodeling that needs to take place, or it's set up the way
Nope.
you need it to?
The-
I haven't been in the suite, so.
Yeah, no, the only thing that we'll be bringing in, obviously, we have to move the network in, and then 220 for the copier into one of the spaces, but the building owners are taking care of that power requirement for us.
For the copier.
Correct, yes. Yeah, we do, it's beautiful, the space, new carpet, new paint was just put in for Tony and the team, so we don't feel there needs to be any additional, I guess, tenant improvements, for lack of a better word, coming in, so. Yeah, thank you. 2 big words. Yeah.
Any other questions from board members about the lease? Can I get a motion to approve the lease agreement?
I move to approve the lease agreement as presented.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to item number 11, monthly non-action items for presentation and discussion only, presented by Dave Peterson.
All right, thank you, Vice Chair Rader. With that, we'll take up 11A. I just have a couple of items on my executive director report. I want to extend a personal thanks to the whole team. They really stepped up to assist and handle the Go West Summit trade show as well as the Adventure Day. Happy to say that we had 44 appointments in South Lake Tahoe. It was, I think, great. A lot of energy about this whole region, especially with Go West coming back after having been in Reno a couple years ago. So it's a great show, a great opportunity, I think, for us again on the tour operator side, receptive motor coach. So thank you to the team for stepping up to accommodate the needs of our organization to be a part of that show. So. And the second update, this is V&T related regarding Polar Express. We received our final customer review score rating from Rail Events. That was from a post-event survey. We chose to do it in January, so after November and December rides took place. We had a review score of 73. That is compared to an average of 55 across all of the Polar Express locations. It was the 3rd highest score of all locations, but if you look at licensed events, we were actually the highest because the 2 other higher scores than us are put on by Rail Events themselves. So I'm very excited for that rating, and I think had we surveyed it in terms of what we were told by the Rail Events team, if we had surveyed on a weekly basis, we may have seen a score as high as 80, which is quite frankly, incredible as a customer follow-up. So, and I'm happy to say we're adding, because of the schedule, it's a unique schedule with the way that the Thanksgiving holiday falls this year, but we'll be able to add additional Polar Express dates, which is great for us from a revenue perspective. And then we're going to keep the 4 cars in place, which is excellent. And as you all know, I mean, we've had to turn away thousands of people each year. So I'm happy to say that Tom Gray has agreed to keep the 4th car, which I think is great. On the long line, we're going to be adding additional dates to that as well, and I'm excited for that. And then we're going to have 2 Canyon events this year. So one of them will actually take place during the Mark Twain Days festival on Saturday. And so that'll be a Canyon run in and out, and we'll have some meetings. Eric is facilitating and helping me with that and Brewery Arts Center. It's just, I'm excited to be able to add an additional train, because as you all know, last year we sold out instantly on the Friday night cocktail train. So let's see. The other one is going to be a mystery train, and we'll be doing that this. I think it's summer. I don't remember if it's August. Maybe it's September. But we're gonna bring some cool, different things back into the canyon. Try out some of these themed events. So it's a brief update from the V&T end of things, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Oh, Bobby.
Do we have an idea approximately how many people visit the Polar Express outside the area?
Oh, that is such a wonderful question, and I'm
Why, thank you.
Uh, yeah. Okay. I will email all of you with the numbers that show outside of kind of I think we break at like a 50-mile radius to
Yeah.
determine out of area visitor. It's a sizable chunk, because I'm trying to think if we had 15,000 total Polar Express riders this year with the fourth car. So it's a significant number of people out of that total. But I will follow up with you, and I'll email each of you with what
And
those
in that
numbers look like.
survey, do we ask like what specifically is so compelling about the Polar Express? Is there something that we could replicate similarly?
So we don't necessarily get the chance to customize the survey, because it does come from rail events, and the questions are the same for all 18 or 20 something locations that they do throughout North America and then the UK. So we really don't have the ability to customize the survey. But what I'll do is I'll share a copy of the questions with you and the results to the board. I'll email that so you can kind of see exactly what is being captured, as far as being equal to all the different locations, if that helps. And then I can follow up from there too if you have any further questions.
Thanks. It's just something so successful. It'd be great to really learn from it.
Agreed. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely follow up with everybody on that front. Any other questions on those items? Okay. With that, we'll move on to 11B, transient occupancy tax actual versus forecast. So this is the normal report in your packet on the big sheet. January did not perform well, as you can see. As compared to prior year, we were down 23.5%. I took the liberty, based on conversations with our lodging properties, of making a pretty significant decrease to February as well as March, just given where things are at. Lydia's going to talk a little bit about what we're going to do to try to counter what's happening out there in the lodging world. But this is not just a Carson City problem. This is a problem that existed across northern Nevada, at least within the Reno Tahoe territory. One of the factors, of course, lack of snow, right, that just kind of hammered away at us. It's hard for us to compete. We talked about this last month, when you can go up to Lake Tahoe and get a midweek room for $41, $46, right? And so the rate has become an issue as well. I'm looking into some other things as well on the corporate side, on the business-to-business side, which is a little bit more difficult for us to get at, because we don't have a specific program, right, as a DMO. But reaching out to our properties just to understand if there isn't something happening there as well, on that corporate B2B side of things. But it was obviously a bad month, and I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. And I've taken the liberty of reflecting what I think February and March are going to look like, and obviously we'll see in a month how February came in. But I do feel the last couple of weeks of February there was an improvement. Obviously, having the snow helped us a lot, but it's a big blow, for January. So happy to address any questions. I guess just to kind of follow up where we're at against budget, we're down, or we're projected to be down negative 0.56%, and then against prior fiscal year, just under 4%, if you go all the way over to the right. So that's where we're looking at landing right now. And I can answer any questions on this one if the board would like. If not, we will move on to 11C. And I'm excited, hotel, motel, RV Park Transient Lodging Report. This is something new, and I want to thank Chris for her great work in pulling this reporting together. This is something that we're going to be doing and providing to the board on a quarterly basis. As you know, the report that we just talked about, we have a lot of blue in there because those are projections, and sometimes we're still waiting on properties from a couple months prior to give us their actuals and their reported information. With this particular report, the reason we're going to do this on a quarterly basis is we're going to wait until we have the actual data through the prior quarter, so we're not trying to go back, update things along the way. Part of the reason for that is this reporting is also driving our data analytics platform, Datafy, as well. So we've just provided, again, thanks to Chris, the last 6 fiscal years worth of data, which is used then not only in the platform itself, but also as a part of our media buying as well. And so I hope you like this report. I want to be really clear. This is reported data coming from the properties themselves, and it is hotel, motel, and then RV parks. So we're not trying to deal with some of the reporting that's coming in from the short-term rental properties. This is specific to just hotel, motel, and RV parks. But I think it's a great, more detailed look at occupancy, ADR, and RevPAR. So, yes, please, Stacy.
I don't think, this is very similar to the report you posted online.
Yes.
Right, and
It is with the exception, Stacy, so this is total versus that point in
right,
time.
that was
Yeah,
sort of
the 80,
separated out.
yeah.
No, but I mean, this is
Yeah.
better. I like the report.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that it's all, verified data. The non-taxable room revenue, that's self-reported, correct?
Yes.
Do we ever, it's a silly question, I guess I should have asked before. Do we ever audit the reports submitted to us by hotel motels or just accept what's presented at face value?
We haven't audited in a really long time, but we can audit, but we just have to budget. And usually they do 3 properties a year when we do that.
Yeah,
Usually it's just we're looking at the numbers. I have calculations in there that
Right,
say,
right.
is this look weird, or if something's fishy, we usually reach out to the properties and say, hey, this looks odd. Do you have something going on here or whatever, and try to figure it out. But we haven't done an audit in a very long time.
yeah. I feel like we're approaching a point where we really ought to be considering that for our next year's budget.
Okay.
I just, because I look at those non-taxable room revenues and in a month collectively, 2,600 essentially free room nights, right? I mean, that seems like a lot to me. I don't have anything to compare it to, but it seems like a significant number. Do you have any comments?
So a lot of we still have properties where a good portion of the property itself is pretty much, they're paying in advance 28 days. So this is all of our properties together. So you got to consider some of those properties are fully 28-day tax exempt at this point. And so that's probably going to tilt your numbers a little bit. It's not like all of, and then you also have My Place and
So wait, go
Staybridge.
back, I'm not understanding the significance between what you said and the non-rev rooms.
So you're talking about the room tax that's non-taxable?
I'm talking about non-taxable room revenue. Is that not from the under 28 days hotels?
No, the non-taxable, that's
okay.
your
I
28 days.
misunderstood that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then also like your tax exempt, like government employees or anybody like that that's coming in with the certificate saying they're tax exempt. So
I don't think that tax exemption works on room tax revenue.
there are some that have
Really?
that. Mhm. School
it-
districts, things like that.
Odd? Really? Sorry, I caught you sleeping.
Can you repeat the question?
So the question is, I thought that the tax exemption granted to government entities and to charitable organizations is an exemption from sales and use tax, not an exemption from room tax.
I can look into that. My understanding is that it also is an exemption from room tax. However, I can verify that
Okay.
for you.
Yeah, I would like to know that because Okay, so non-taxable room revenue is not non-taxable room, as displayed here. It's not non-taxable room revenue from the revenue producing properties. It's,
Stacy, can I just jump in for 1 second? So because we're reporting this in aggregate, the non-taxable room revenue can be from properties like the extended stays. So Staybridge may have people who are on a corporate level. They have a contract in place where they have
they pay
staff
for one
coming
room
for
for a
6
year at a
months.
time. or whatever.
Exactly. And that's non-taxable,
Okay.
right? In addition, there are provisions for federal agencies where they do not pay the room tax as well. They have an exemption, as well as some other nuances within the state, as well as other government organizations. So they're included in the non-taxable revenue. And then what Chris was referring to, the bulk of this, just being honest, probably, Chris, if I throw a number out, don't cringe, but 90-something% of this revenue is coming from those properties where people basically live
Right,
in
okay.
them.
That's what I
But
was not
yeah,
understanding.
But we do have to include the non-taxable revenue from our 20 properties that do allow for
Right,
transient,
right.
but it's just in that total number.
I got it.
yeah. Mhm.
As I looked at it, I
Yeah.
thought it was non-taxable room revenue primarily from
Oh,
the
gosh.
less than 28 day
Oh,
stays.
No, yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
So,
I would die if that was the
Well,
case.
no, that's why that's why I was shocked at that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I thank you for
Yeah.
explaining that.
Of course, yeah. Sorry for not starting there with the non-taxable. But if Todd, if you want some specifics on the types of exemptions that are allowed under, statute, we certainly can pull that information together. And Chris would like to add something. Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
So Stacy, the governmental exemptions is in section 6.21. And it states the Nevada state and local governments in Nevada are exempt from transient lodging tax, just not out of state.
CCMC 6.21?
6.21 in the, yes, in the CCMCs. No, in our lodging tax it's under governmental exemptions in the policies.
Okay, well, policy doesn't drive the law. So, I mean, our policy can say whatever it wants, but if it's not in line with the law, then we can table this. You can tell me later. I just would like to see it, the policy doesn't mean much to me unless the policy references the CCMC or the NRS, and it would have to be an NRS, I think, but I'll let it go. Thank you. Sorry to go down the rabbit hole.
It's okay. Well,
Good.
yeah, okay. All right, okay, no, fair enough. Are there any other questions on the new report? All right. Again, we look forward to bringing that on a quarterly basis. And then Stacy, to your point earlier, asking about, is it similar to the other report? We are going to come forward with a second level of reporting that delineates between properties with 80 or more rooms and less than 80 rooms as well. So that'll be something, we have a template for that, but it's a question of going back and building that retroactively back to fiscal 18, I think, to match.
No, this is
this
good.
report.
Thank you for sharing this. This is,
Okay.
it's helpful to have, and it'll be more meaningful over time as we are able to compare, year over year, of course. So
Totally agree, yeah. And like I said, the fact that we can then leverage this information with our analytics platforms, it also answers a lot of questions that I get from not just lodging properties, but other tourism-related businesses as well.
And you're posting this on the website?
That is
we will.
correct, yes,
Okay.
we will.
Good,
Mhm.
thank
Yeah,
you.
so I think the historical data is there, Chris, yes? Oh, she's checking, but I'm pretty sure, because I was pulling some stuff off the website. And then we'll update this, like I said, on a quarterly basis to all of you, and then to
Thank
the
you.
website, of course. All right. If there are no further questions on 11C, let's go ahead and move on to 11D, Arts and Culture Update. Mr. Brooks, take it away, sir.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Arts and Culture presentation. We're going to be talking about a new gallery collaboration in our space, the In Case You Missed It exhibitions that are still ongoing, and the Cultural Corridor update. So we have a new satellite gallery in collaboration with Brewery Arts Center. We currently have 2 artists up, Jack Malott and Lisa Kurt. Jack is an amazing human being on many different levels. He's a multidisciplinary artist. He's done many murals. He did a retrospective at the Nevada Museum of Art. He's in permanent collections across Europe, several pieces at our NMA in Reno and at the Smithsonian Institute. Yes, he's a big deal. He's also a member of the South Fork Band of the Timok tribe of Western Shoshone and a member of the Great Basin Native Artists. And the Great Basin Native Artists is a group that we're going to start working with on many different levels throughout this gallery situation. And then we have Lisa Kurt, who's an artist and illustrator currently residing in Seattle. She's shown work in galleries across the country, including Los Angeles, New York, San Francisco, Seattle, Austin, Reno. And last month, she became a new co-owner of the Gradient Gallery inside Park Place Market. Lisa has been a longtime resident of Reno and was a crowd favorite while she lived there. And she's been gone for a few years. So we were able to bring her back for a group show at Brewery Arts Center. And then we were able to move the pieces that didn't sell over to the gallery. So here's a couple shots. On the left are Jack's pieces, and on the right, Lisa's. And as you heard earlier from Mr. Peterson, we'll be able to have a new beautiful gallery space in the upstairs location. And we'll be able to start having some sort of a reception probably on a quarterly level too. We're still working out those details, but a great opportunity to be able to get more people into the space and to see what we have to offer. And those pieces are all for sale, and those sales run directly through Brewery Arts Center. So we get the work consigned to us, and they take care of all the paperwork. So, any questions? Yes.
So Eric, once we have the gallery set up, or looks like you have it set up, but once you get moved, and will there be information there on how someone can go about making a purchase? I mean, some detailed information about that?
Yeah, and there'll be bios up about the artist, links to their website and social media. So it'll be a gallery experience.
Okay, good. Thank you.
In case you missed it, gallery receptions. Ruby Baranatos. She is a Mayan descent. Her family is from El Salvador. She's been a favorite of the Reno area and a darling of the Lilly Museum. They purchased several of her pieces over the last few years, and she is currently showing at the Bristlecone Gallery at Western Nevada College. It's a beautiful space. If you excuse me, if you haven't been there, it's a beautiful space. They also have a secondary room under the atrium where there's an artist, local artist, who's showing currently, Maria Merman. She's in her 80s from France. Those 2 shows are definitely something you'd like to take a look at. And on the right there, we have an exhibition called On the Map. And this is John Farber. He's also a registered nurse in Reno. He quit his art practice for quite a while, but he's back to it. Particularly, this body of work has to do with mapping and how it references not just Nevada, but the entire world. And then Catherine Schmidt-Maybach, who's, we can go ahead and scroll to the next one. There's some better images. Catherine has this amazing transfer process that I won't go into because it's quite lengthy and confusing, even though I've talked to her and shown her personally in several occasions. But there's an example of her work. And then John's work is super, super fun. You can see his picture on the right there of Pyramid Lake. He also has pieces of many other lakes and areas around northern Nevada. And those shows will be up for the rest of the month. So you can be able to go over to the courthouse and take a look at those. And this show, I highly recommend everyone going to look at if you haven't seen it yet. Will Durham Lit. The lore of Lost Nevada highways are always rimmed within the glow of a neon fix. The overhead buzz of high voltage calls us, recalls memories, possibilities, and connections. The journey awaits. Come relive stories told through the vivid photography of Nevada's lost neon and rescued restored signs. So Will Durham has been collecting signs for over 20 years. He's a school teacher here in Carson, but resides in Reno. He had a show at the NMA in 2013 with 13 of his restored signs. Brewery Arts Center is currently showing 2 of those, along with the original Tahoe neon sign, which is, we were hoping that it would be restored for the show. It's going to need a little more extensive work, so the shell of it is there, and it'll be going to Stockton for full repairs and will be installed when it's working permanently upstairs in the brewery building. And No, we're going to move on. I had to think in my head there for a second, but we're going to go ahead and move on. Any questions on Will, the neon? And that shows up through the end of the month as well. 3D Cultural Corridor update. So we were able to have the second community forum inside the CVIC Hall in Minden on February 22nd. More than 60 attendees listened to the hour-long presentation from Carl Roboto. There was a lively question and answer session covering topics from wild horses to artist residencies and equity and what that meant. The final community forum is March 18th inside Piper's Opera House in Virginia City, and we're expecting a full crowd there. This will be the last input to aid the national consultants to craft a 10-year plan that will unite Carson City, Virginia City, and Carson Valley through an arts and culture platform. The first three, so if you remember, there were 6 cohorts chosen in Nevada. One of those has since dropped out, and that one that dropped out was in our 3 cohorts, so there's 2 left in ours. The first 3 were awarded $1 million already, and we'll be going through the steering, well, let me just continue on here. The steering committee will compose a grant based on the plan proposed by the consultant team. Our grant proposal will be submitted according to the Travel Nevada guidelines by June 30th. The anticipated award announcement for us will be July 2024. So once we get that plan from the consultants, we're hoping it will be in the next 4 to 6 weeks. Then the steering committee will be able to, which Carson City is taking the lead in, we'll be able to craft that plan with a focus on the first 2 years, and those first 2 years will be the focus because that's when we need to spend the money by. And then we'll be able to have a sustainable program within those first 2 years to roll out over the next 3 years. So over the first 5 years, we will be able to build a sustainable plan between the 3 regions to then fund the last 5 years of the plan is what we're looking at right now. It's still very fluid, but we're excited for the opportunities, and we have some amazing members on that team. One I'm looking at right now, Vice Chair. So thank you all very much. Any questions from what you heard or anything else about the arts and culture movement that's going on right now in Carson? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Eric. Great work. All right, with that, we will move on to 11E, Marketing and PR Update. Lydia Beck, take it away.
Lydia Beck for the record. Bear with me here. We lost our connection. All right. All right, we've got a pretty short agenda for today. We wanted to kick off with the web and paid digital media update, show some of our social media ads so you have an idea of what's running behind the scenes, also a public relations update, and also a new Datafy report I'll be going through to show the profile of what our Q2 visitors looked like. So starting with web and paid digital media, February was definitely a different month. You're going to see a lot of negatives here. A majority of that comes from because we spent quite a bit significantly less than we did in January. We also made some big changes in February that are causing these big dips that you're going to see in website visitation. So now that we've onboarded Ripe, which is our ability to book hotel rooms through our website, and have booking conversions, we've temporarily turned off the Performance Max campaign, which is a large driver of website traffic. That campaign is actually based off of conversions and all the bidding that happens. So because the conversions are so low, because Ripe is so new, we needed to make some adjustments and redistribute those funds back into paid search. So reamping up those campaigns also takes a little bit of time as well. And also, given our current room revenue situation and our slowing of bookings across the board, we have some extra funds that we've set aside for kind of rainy day, and we will be reactivating those into paid search as well as paid social to help hopefully make up for some of those dips that we're seeing here this winter. So that's where we're at with this. And for our paid social performance, we're also overhauling all of our new ads to get some fresh things coming into the warmer months. And we also have new nostalgia ads for our campaign, a Carson City Triathlon ad, and new event ads, as our old ads have kind of run its course at this point throughout the winter. It's just time for something new and time to refresh. Here's some of our social media ad examples. These are even just a few that we've run over the past month. This is what the lineup looks like. We have a lot of things running for the nostalgia campaign. The triathlon is always a great one that performs well in our colder months that we are relaunching to give a new, fresh perspective on things to do. And then our newsletter signups, as well as our visitor guide requests also too. And then we have a lot of video ads that would run throughout the month as well. For public relations, this is our first month with Muck Rack that Nicole had presented to you last month. So we're having more of a summary than you're used to seeing with all the numbers. So to give a quick rundown, explore.com was featured an article on Carson City highlighting its Old West attractions for travelers. Reno's ABC affiliate Colo 8 aired a feature story on Nevada State Museum's compliance with the NAGRPA, which requires museums and exhibits that receive federal funding to consult with the local tribes about cultural objects on display, which we think is a win. We also have Undiscovered America TV requested visuals to produce a Carson City segment for an upcoming state capitals episode. So that's going to be a huge win for us. And Zach was really wonderful at putting together a massive amount of B-roll that they requested for the Nevada State Museum, for Stewart, for the Railroad Museum, the Kit Carson Trail, and the Carson Hot Springs as well. KPS3 will continue to actively pitch media for fan visits this spring. And we also will be featured in Dreamscapes magazine, which was in partnership with Travel Nevada and their Canadian agency that they work with. So they will be mentioning the new Cap to Tahoe Trail. So we've got a pretty good segment of different topics for this month, and we're very excited to see those come to fruition.
You don't want to try pronouncing that consulting firm?
I sure didn't. I tried about 4 different times.
Lydia,
Before, and I was like, I'm going to glaze over that, but
It's
Stacy caught me.
Kanakiwi. Yeah, Kanakiwi. Yeah. I only know that because my wife is Canadian, so she helps me to translate. Yes. It's a true story.
Great. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate the assist. And lastly, what we wanted to put together is also another new quarterly report. We wanted to really leverage Datafy, which obviously provides real data, geolocation data on our visitors. So I wanted to clarify before we start here that this is separate from our ad buy with them. So this is all visitors, not people who have visited, who have seen our ads from the campaign that we are running with them. That actually ends here in a couple of weeks. So the next board meeting, I will have the full recap on the 3-month run of our buy with Datafy. But we wanted to give you kind of a glimpse at what our visitor looks like from the last quarter, from Q2. So what you're seeing here are in-state and out-of-state visitors outside of a 50-mile radius that visited Carson City between October 1st and December 31st as being compared to the same date range in 2022. We excluded Tahoe area, so we know that these are people who truly came into the Carson City, more of the downtown area and its city limits. That didn't include Tahoe. Obviously, that's a huge skew of numbers if we would include them. So you can see here that our best days, of course, are Saturday and Sunday with some bookends on Monday and Friday for extended weekends. Our Octobers of 2023 saw more volume than 2022, but as you can see, the November and December saw less as we expected and what our numbers are telling us. Our length of stay was only slightly down from 2022, but our total trips were up. So with our visitor days and total unique visitors down, our visitor days up and total unique visitors down, obviously that tells us we've got more repeat visitors and visitors that came to Carson City more frequently. And here you'll see where our visitors spent their time in Carson City when they're here and our profile of our visitors. So most are spending their time downtown, shopping, and at our attractions. And then shortly after that, obviously, is our lodging and our food and beverage. So we're seeing a little bit older of a visitor. The age range underneath that was a very close second. And then our top income levels are a little bit in the lower range, but the 50 to 75K is shortly behind that.
Can you stop for just a second?
Yes.
What does city and areas mean?
That is just the blanket term for Carson City itself. It's how they label it in the system, which
So how
comes
could
off
there
as a
be-
little
How
confusing.
could there be less of those than downtown?
So that is an excellent question that I will clarify for you because I'm not sure I'm going to explain it properly because there are some nuances within the system, but I would love to follow up with you on that.
Okay. I mean, if we're going to be seeing this every month, it'll be good to understand what those numbers, mean so we can have a
Agree.
meaningful discussion.
Agree. I do hope to do this every quarter, not so much every month,
Okay.
because the data will,
But still
it'll be
regularly.
repetitive.
Right, right, right.
So, yes, I will absolutely follow up with that. And lastly, here is a better breakdown of Q2's repeat versus one-time trips. So our top markets all have seen an increase in trips versus 2022, and you can see LA and Las Vegas have pretty worthwhile jumps in trips, as well as Phoenix. However, Phoenix is a pretty small market for us for our total trips for Q2, but it is exciting to see a new market segment grow, even if it is only a little. This month, we were able to upload our lodging data that Dave and Chris have painstakingly put together, so from the past 6 years. And that is now uploaded in Datafy. So the next report that we have will actually include lodging data that has the most accurate numbers for this next quarterly report, and hopefully have some more really interesting insights into our visitors and where they're staying.
And Lydia, on the Vegas number, that does not call out anyone here for business, right? So it's just, in other words, I suspect a lot of those are state employees up for a meeting or up for something.
Correct.
It does
Yeah,
not
it does
call
not.
that
It
out.
does no. It does not segment that out. We do have the ability to create filters for commuters. So one of the nuances that we were finding is we had a lot of visitors from Fallon, and we believe that those are commuters. So that was one of our top
Yeah, they probably didn't
markets.
fly in from Fallon.
Exactly, exactly. So they are just outside that 50-mile radius. So
Right.
they're still showing up as a visitor when we run these reports, and so they're working on commuter data for us too. So I will look into that a little bit further and see if there is ability to pull out frequent.
I mean, I don't think it matters that much because they're here. They're,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess as long as they're staying, I mean, as opposed to just popping in for the day, which is, not really going to benefit.
Correct.
So that I'd be more curious to know that,
Sure.
Lydia, can I jump in for just a second too? For the board's edification, just a friendly reminder, remember this is using devices, mobile devices. So I just want to be clear, this isn't saying this was the number of visitors,
No, I got it.
Okay,
I got
yeah,
it.
just,
It's a data point. I'm
it
just,
is, yeah. Yeah, and and that has to do with all the changes that have happened with iPhones that Lydia knows all about all that stuff relative to my knowledge. And so stuff may be turned on, might not be turned on. And so you could be here and not be counted depending on how your device is turned on or not turned on or whatever settings it has on it. So you're right. We're looking at this in aggregate, in terms of where they see origin market. So where did that device start and then come into Carson City at? And Lydia's right. We're going to really be diving into not just Fallon, but Fallon was a great example, but for the Lake Tahoe Basin area, differentiating residents versus the visitors, right? And understanding, are they just coming down and going to, which we are seeing, Costco, Trader Joe's, Walmart, and then back up to the lake they go, right? And so I think we're going to, as we drill in on some of these data points, really try to hone in on or triangulate, where are these people moving around when they do come into Carson City, because I think we'll see that we have some opportunities to hopefully move them to different parts of Carson City, to different attractions within Carson City. So,
well, and if they're data mining this stuff, they should be able to tell how long they stayed, right? In terms of.
you are correct. There's all kinds of rules. So we have, I don't know how many points of interest, but we polygon things, right, with the coordinates. My recollection is, I believe you have to be somewhere for 20 minutes for it to count as you having maybe been in the downtown area or the Nevada State Railroad Museum or historical Nevada State Prison. Yeah, there's minutes around how those things calculate, because you're right, if you're just driving through, it's not going to necessarily calculate that you were a visitor to that particular attraction. And those algorithms, and that's all set up through Datafy. We do not have the ability to control that or manipulate that in any way, shape, or form. But you're absolutely right. There's a lot of, we're still learning, I must admit, and I have the least knowledge, which I'm embarrassed to say, of the whole team, on how all of this fits together and the timing of things and where you're counted as a museum visitor or not, and all that good stuff. But yeah, I'm really looking forward though to leveraging this information. So, and we're actually running something right now as a use case for the Brewery Arts Center, for Spike and his team, for the Levitt concert series, to understand over the course of 10 weeks, I think going over the last 4 or 5 years, for 4 years, to look at that analysis. I don't know if it's zip code or DMA based. I think we're probably starting with DMAs, if I'm not mistaken. Where are people flowing into and out of by weekend to see correlations between repeat visitation from certain out-of-area markets, right? Because that helps. Well, I know where Spike wants to go with it, but also helps us too to understand if we have the ability with these repeat visitors to then market them to get them to do something else. Let's say, well, they're here to come from more than just a brewery art 11 amp concert series, so summer concert series concert. So yeah, I mean, I think it's got some really cool potential overall, but then specific to the events that we have here in Carson City.
Seems like some of the hotel properties could almost put together a package, where.
Couldn't agree more.
A limo ride or something to the 2 free drinks or whatever, in a
It's
hotel
brilliant.
or something,
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, yeah, providing them with that specific information also, if we can hone in on particular zip codes or DMAs,
Right.
helps them focus in too on some market areas that they would be willing to maybe put some packaging together for those specific visitors to Carson City. So agreed, yeah.
Yeah, this has already helped us hone in on our markets for our paid social and be even more efficient with our spend. So we're excited to continue this partnership. And that's it. If there's any other questions, I'm happy to take them. Otherwise, thank you very much.
Thank you, Lydia. Awesome. With that, we'll move on to 11F, future agenda items. Does anybody want to have anything at the next meeting? Oh, go ahead.
We had just, maybe working that into the budget in terms of random audit or something, yeah.
Yes. I will work with Chris on that and we'll,
'Cause I assume we'll be talking about budget in the next couple upcoming meetings.
For sure.
Right? And we have a special meeting scheduled, right, don't we? In May? Did we already do that, or do we have to do that still?
no, we actually combined that with the regular meeting at your request for the final budget meeting.
Right, we moved
Right,
it
Chris?
to the 20th, correct?
Yes, we had to kind of,
Yeah.
wedge it in.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so I've got a note about the audit and we will definitely get some pricing on that so we can build that in to the admin budget. Okay.
Dave, we're moving number 10, the policies, to the
Yeah,
next
we'll
agenda.
bring that back, yeah, in the April meeting. You are correct, Vice Chair Rader, yes. And then 11G, our next meeting right here, Monday, April 8th, 4 PM. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Vice Chair Rader.
Item 12 on the agenda, CTA Board comments or announcements or requests for information. Okay, item number 13, public comment.
Good evening. I am Maurice White, and I come to you this evening in my private capacity as a president of the Nevada State Prison Preservation Society. I want to thank you for this opportunity to visit with you this evening. I came here today to say thank you for the support this body and staff has provided over the years to the Nevada State Prison Preservation Society. Your support is very much appreciated, and thank you. I also want to give an update as to what the Preservation Society has been up to. Once again, in 2024, we are producing a full slate of activities at the Nevada State Prison. The most important thing I want to bring to your attention tonight is our desperate need for tour guides and tour sweeps. If you're interested in volunteering as a tour guide or a sweep, you can email Karen at nspps.projects@gmail.com. Our tour training will begin on April 13th, following on 20 and 27, as well as May 4th. Planning will begin at 1 p.m. and last about 1.5 hours with tours of the facility afterwards. If you could bring a thumb drive so you can download the tour information, that would be greatly appreciated. Our tour tickets will go on sale April 1st, with tours starting on May 11th and running through Nevada Day. We'll have a QR code for ticket purchases this year So keep an eye out on our website and our Facebook for ticket information. Our website is nevadastateprison.org. And on Facebook, you can find us at Nevada State Prison Preservation Society. Our paranormal group is also going strong. They as well have a full slate of activities, starting with investigations that are drawing big names in the industry, like YouTuber Kalani, Paranormal Files, and Omar Ghost TV. Last year, they hosted Jack Osborne's Night of Terror. That was pretty terrifying. What's that? No, I was there kind of right at the beginning, but we let the paranormal people do whatever it is they do. They are also going to be offering investigation trainings this year. So if you have an interest in ghost hunting, feel free to contact our paranormal folks. That would be Susan on Facebook at the Nevada State Prison Paranormal. They've also expanded the ghost walks for this fall. That pretty much sums up our regular business. And for our special events, we are also very busy. We are in negotiations with a vendor to bring in a haunted house, and we are looking to make that a year-round facility. The Department of Public Safety continues to use the facility for active shooter training, post-training, and drug dog training. The Lions Claw Group will return with their live-action role-play games in July, and we have agreed to bring fish to the Nevada State Prison for a fundraiser, and we're talking with NACO about hosting a reception there. Finally, we're working with a lady named Frances Melhop to bring a curated art show to the Nevada State Prison. It will be an international show called Beyond the Walls. All of the artists that will be presenting have intricate knowledge of prisons, from prisoners that have obviously served time and folks that worked in prisons. The last bit of business I have for this evening is to point out that the Nevada State Prison Preservation Society is in need of an executive director. In addition to the events we have discussed tonight, there is a hefty amount of building repair and construction that is underway. There is a need for grants management and navigating the political essence of a state-owned building being managed by a private group. As you can see, there's a lot of balls in the air. If you know somebody that's interested in saving and managing a decommissioned prison, you can contact me at 775-297-6484. That's all I have for you tonight. I stand ready for any questions if there are any. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Any other public comment? Moving on to item number 14 for possible action. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We're adjourned.